Good evening. Welcome to the Rutland Select Board regular meeting. Tonight is Monday, August 26th, 2019 at 6:01 p.m. at the Rutland Public Library. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. In case I didn't do it officially, hereby call this meeting to order. Please note this meeting, as usual, is being transmitted on Rutland Public Access Television and on YouTube. Welcome, everyone. And we're going to jump right in. Could I get a motion to approve Treasury Warrant number 5 and payroll?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, unanimous. We're going to move our executive session, assuming the board is okay with it, to the end of our meeting. So at the end of this meeting, we're going to jump back to number 5. We'll be going into executive session only to return for the purpose of adjournment. Is there anyone here for public comment, general public comments? Come on up.
I sent in a letter today. Did you guys get that letter?
So if you sent it just today, it wouldn't make tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. It did get received by my office, both by
Okay.
Laura and by myself.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got it. When you asked me outside, I didn't know when you had
Okay,
sent
yeah,
it.
no, I was busy.
Yeah.
Name and address.
How well did you get the letter? It pertains to Route 68 in Wachusett,
Okay.
and I understand it's in the works, but, I mean, that's been in the works since I've been in town,
I know.
and I'm very old.
Name
I'm
and-
almost as old as Dick.
Name and address for the record.
Steve Sherman.
Thank you.
Paddock Road.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. All right, so do you want us to hold off and we'll address it as correspondence at the next meeting
Yeah,
officially?
that'd be fine. I mean,
Okay.
again, I understand something's going there, but something really needs to be done there. Somebody was really,
Yeah.
little girl was really hurt there.
Yep.
That's, I'm not trying to jump you, because I'm sure you're doing all you can, and you can't do anything about a state highway, but that's unacceptable.
Yeah, Mr. Sherman, I find myself everywhere I go, I'm looking at intersections and what kind of signage there is and what the lighting is, and yeah,
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? General open, yes.
Dick Williams,
Hi.
Overlook. I had sent on to Mike, the Central Mass Regional Planning, grant monies. And one of the things I had asked, or the only thing I had asked about, is it for the old Rutland State Sanatorium. You know, and this is for any environmental, that might be a problem or whatever, and to me, it has never been satisfied. There is still
Couldn't keep that, I said it.
a tunnel up there and things, I mean, this, I haven't been up there for quite some time, but the trees are growing up, but I feel it should be taken care of. And it's something that I've been hounding, I don't know how many years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, I've been messing around with the different boards, but
Which property are we talking about exactly?
this is Rutland Sanatorium
Right?
off of Skyline Drive is the way to get in.
So the Rutland Land Conservancy owned property?
That is correct.
Okay.
And to me, it's something that was, I don't know how many times I tried to contact people, and Gary, I don't know how many times I talked to him, let's go for a walk, and nothing ever happened up there. And I would like to see it taken care of. And you had been up there about a park or something like that. I had a kiosk put up there many years ago, and after I donated it to the town. But to me, that's an ideal spot for a park. But before kids go running around or, you know, open it up or whatever, it needs to be looked at. And to me, for crying out loud, I would just soon get a grant, get somebody from Boston that's got the knowledge to take a look at the property, and then go from there. And maybe calm my nerves on that piece of property. But, you know, it's something that I've been dead set against, because when I was a little kid, I was up there and could see Boston from there. So easy, back in those days, before the trees grew up. But anyways, please, you know, take a look at that grant type of a thing and see if we can get it and move on that particular thing.
There's no access to those tunnels still.
It's wide open. I could walk in there and walk down, but it's half collapsed, but yet I could, walk or crawl through part of it. Oh, heck, yeah.
No, I wasn't aware of this.
Oh,
The
many
entrance to the Conservancy land is one of the locations that Joe and I applied for the housing choice to put a pocket park there. So that's what he meant by that with the park grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Does the Land Conservancy know of your concerns?
Should.
Okay.
I've talked to Joe many of times
Okay.
up there about it.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of going down to take a look at your dam, Muscatine Dam, and to me, there's nothing wrong with that dam. The spillway needs to be, re-cemented or something like that. But to me, I see no problem. That thing has been good for 100+ years, it's still good. I don't see water leaking out of it or anything else. It's still solid as can be. And the only thing that gives me concern, two things actually, is the abutting forest around the thing. It's not like Worcester where they cut back and open up around there. You don't want the trees and everything else falling into it and tannic acid build up or whatever. But to me, that's one of the things. And when the abutting property came up for sale, it's too bad that somebody in town did not contact the town, hey, are you interested in it? Because I feel that you people should own around your thing and not some other individual owns, I believe, almost right down to, or actually to the water. So, I think a little bit of looking into that should be sometime in the future, please. And last but not least, and here at the meeting, I asked about 122A, District 3. Joe sent, I think, to Mike sent it to me and looked it over. I went down to District 3 and I had a very nice talk, and he pointed out, because I went to Anita and she couldn't tell me the road, and also the bounds is not actually where the roads is, it's out further. So like your monuments you got in front of the community hall belongs to Mass DOT, Commonwealth, or whoever you want to put it, but it's not the town of Rutland. This common right here, I'm going to say almost the bulk of it is all on Mass DOT, not the town of Rutland. And in all honesty, don't mess with it just yet, because who knows, the state may come in and say, oh, we're going to put a huge roundabout up here. And
You're the one that went down to District 3.
Pardon?
You're the one that went down to District 3.
I don't know.
Are you suggesting that we should petition to the state to reduce the bounds of the road
No.
in the center, so that we would own more of it?
No,
No?
no,
All right.
because who knows that in the future, you may want a bigger road, you may want,
Oh, dear.
like I say, a roundabout or some other access. So they already own it, but to me, it's so strange that the officials in Rutland did not know it. Even Skip Clark, when I showed him, he says, I can't believe this. You know,
Well, I mean, we all know the road is so wide, right?
Yes.
10 Rod Road. I don't know that anybody would have thought that past the very large verges, right,
Yeah.
the breakdown lanes, that we still had more land. I don't know if I should be worried, or why are you don't want us to do anything?
Well, it's the fact that planning board has got a hearing coming up with the new Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
You know, do they know about this? Do they, other people in town, private owners going down, as you get down closer to the cemetery, it widens way out. It does narrow down in places, but not what you think. So it's one of those things that I feel it should be either on the Board of Assessors, and their map lined out or something like that, so when people go to look at it, and it should be someplace where it's visible and very easy to read.
Yeah, the right of way does go pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pretty much covers the common here. In terms of the monument, Joe and I did check too. That is fine, where it's a public monument and that the town owns it in a public right of way. It's fine, but it's also, I mean, Joe's words when we were first looking at it is if we got to move it, we move it.
Yeah.
But there's space on the other side, but he doesn't see that being an issue for quite some time.
Okay. I would think the town would petition for some sort of variance from the state to reduce the bounds, at least right in front of the town buildings, right? If it's municipally owned, then the right-of-way on that roadway would be lessened, and the town would then...
But you don't know what may happen with Palmagussit in the future, or Maple Ave, you know, it's one of those things. Maybe at the present time, somebody should do some figuring, and then...
Please tell me you're not envisioning some sort of Kelly Square figure eight, right?
How did you know? No.
I'm not
Okay.
talking about Route 49, are you?
Not yet, no. That's
The
another-
other thing that we noticed when we were reviewing the map of the right-of-way is right across the street, the right-of-way goes up to the hill before Naquag. So if you're picturing the road there, there's a little grassy area before the hill gets real steep. So
Yeah.
the bound of the right-of-way goes right up until the crest of the hill on that side.
Okay.
And, my last thought, how's that bypass in Holden doing? Have you been down to talk to the select board down there? Have you approached them about, hey, we have too many cars coming out of Rutland, can you get going on that bypass, please?
They saw your landmark article.
Well, I think that people are gonna be screaming bloody murder here in a couple of days when the buses start rolling again, so.
One day, not even.
So we'll see.
12 hours.
12 hours. All right, that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment, general? No? Okay. I'll go to Carrie Ann next, and we'll go back to the, unless City to Saddle is not here. Wait, City to Saddle
right
is
there.
here.
Yeah.
Would you like to stay where you are, or would you like to come up?
I'm happy right here.
Name and address, please.
Dale Perkins, 67 Muskapog.
Welcome.
Thank you. And so still what we're doing?
Could you?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are applying, I think you have a copy of it,
Yes.
application for a one-day liquor license. This is the third year that we've had a farm table dinner with 150 to 200 people, and it's been very successful in the past. And we would have a tip certified, we will hire a tip certified person to distribute it and oversee it. And I have our copy of our nonprofit status and a check I just need to write in the amount to the town of Rutland for the permit if the next step.
So did Laura check everything?
Yeah.
Insurance?
The insurance was mailed. It was 75 something pages.
And,
So we didn't print
yeah.
it, but
Okay.
it's received. All the supporting documentation has been. There's nothing pending.
Nothing pending other than the check.
Correct.
And I don't know the amount. Does anybody know the
I
amount?
think it was 300, but I want to make sure.
Okay.
Is that somebody?
Was that?
I think the one day is 60.
It is
60? Oh, that sounds much
60
better.
Yeah,
Oh,
$60
yeah,
for
I like
one
that,
day.
I like that, okay.
So I'd make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for City to Saddle for their nonprofit, and I would also include in that motion to waive the fee, given that it's for a nonprofit.
Which we've done in the past.
Okay.
You just want to add the date to that, that's it.
Oh, sorry, the one-day liquor license event for September 22nd, 2019.
Then I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, unanimous. And you can put away your checkbook, so
Thank you
get
very
that going
much.
for you.
And I have the nonprofit sheet right here, should I give it to one of?
I'll take it.
Right at the tie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He doesn't get a real liquor license. He gets
A special permit, yeah.
Right? Next, Carrie Ann Devereux. How are you?
Good, how
Oh,
are
thank you, Carrie Ann Goldsmith, for coming up. We have a podium.
you? Sure. Just want to say thank you for inviting me to attend the Selectmen meeting. And wanted to take the opportunity to thank the town for a positive relationship with Devereux. We've actually been providing special education, autism, and behavioral health services for almost 55 years in Rutland. And it's not unusual for me to have casual conversations with folks from Rutland who say, oh, I used to work there 20 years ago, or my aunt did, or my uncle did, and et cetera. So I really do believe that we're part of the fabric of Rutland. And As part of that, we have over 470 employees who most work up on our campus and who are exceptionally loyal customers to the local businesses in Rutland. It's important for us as Devereux to have a strong, positive community partnership, and it's even more meaningful to our students that we serve. Over this last year, we've had continued some great opportunities with the town to engage our students in community events. We had the K-9 Cooney demonstration at the beginning of the year, which was really wonderful. And later in the year, we were also able to have a motorbike demonstration for our students who participate in our Honda Nippum mini bike program on campus. So that was very exciting for them to have that opportunity. We were invited to participate in the Rutland PD 5K, enjoyed our annual friendly student police department volleyball game, and still need to reschedule our softball game. These experiences help create positive community memories for students who may not have otherwise had them in their young lives. Recently, we actually have been expanding our pre-vocational and vocational programs, and so a few of our students are volunteering and or working in the community. And one of the sites is working at the police and fire station, assisting in that manner. One of the students, after his first day of working there, came to see me with an enormous smile, like just huge. And he literally looked taller to me than the day before. And I realized he was just really proud. He was proud to not only be able to be there, but to be part of the community and accepted as that. And this was I think a very special moment for him. And our students deserve those moments. We also continue to emphasize the importance of volunteering. We have had a number of students, I think we did it 4 times this year, roll up their sleeves and dive into assisting the trail cleanup with Wachusett Greenways. And we place great emphasis on encouraging good citizenship, and we will continue to seek opportunities to do this in the town. As I've highlighted in years past, I think our positive relationship with the town is not just based on history. It's based on ongoing efforts, open communication, and commitment to a successful partnership. I meet regularly with the town administrator and the chiefs to talk about ways that we can partner together successfully, any issues or concerns, and we have very open discussions, which I think is important to our relationship. And our focus is to have a mutually beneficial relationship. So every year, Devereux assesses the ways that we can monetarily help the town and give back. And as a nonprofit, we always need to watch closely over our finances and annually need to assess what our fiscal health looks like. Devereux has always believed in the importance of being a valued community member, and I'm happy to highlight that once again, we are making a significant gift to the town of $42,000. We have that here.
Thank you.
Devereux serves some of the state's most vulnerable children and families. Devereux and the surrounding community is their home where memories are made. And we thank you for embracing our work. I very much look forward to Devereux's continued relationship and partnership with the Rutland community, and want to give this as a gift on behalf of Devereux.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I need to drop off a letter that goes with that.
I don't know, Carrie Ann, it wasn't a giant check, so I don't know if we can accept it. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much.
Well, last year I didn't have it in time, or I think it got sent to you guys directly.
Yeah.
So I handed an envelope, and in it just said, I owe you. We owe you. I owe you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say I really do appreciate the monthly meetings that we have, just to check in with each other. And a couple, 2 months ago now, we had the National Devereux Board out to our site. And Nick and I went to just sit in on the meeting, and it was really impressive to see all the work that the students and the staff do, and just the impression that the National Board had of the Devereux site here in Rutland and how well it's running. So just great job.
We very much appreciate our relationship with the town, so thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put Carrie Ann on the spot, and Joe Buckley's not here tonight, but has there been any interaction with Devereux getting involved in the tip for Palmagussit? Because I think support from the Devereux family relative to that extension of the sidewalk, which you have so many students that are walking up and down, getting into the center of town. I think that would be a really beneficial addition to our tip. I think Joe is probably the guy.
Mhm.
Be happy to.
That would
Yeah.
be great.
Have you met Joe yet?
Huh?
Have you met Joe yet? Joe Buckley?
I think I have.
I want to say you did, but
Yeah, I think I
we'll
have.
we'll
Probably
remake
past
that
it.
connection there.
Yeah, just give him my information, and I'd be happy to come to the table and have that discussion. I think it is an important issue.
Yeah, because the original plan on the tip was that the sidewalk would continue up to past the rail trail up to the Brunels on the right side, so on the northbound side. But from Miles Road into the center of town, and encompassing the ball field, there was a lot of discussion about extending that sidewalk to be on both sides of the road at that point. And I think it would really be a huge benefit for us to get support from you all on that.
Agreed. That's also a bus stop for some of our students that go to public schools. So
Yep.
there's a lot of kids that are on and off the bus there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Moving on, department updates. Who's going first?
We don't have any scheduled department updates tonight, but our treasurer, Becky Tuttle, did say that she is coming in for the next one because she'd like to do one based off of what she learned at her annual treasury school that UMass Amherst holds with DOR.
Okay.
So she'll be in at the next meeting with
All right,
a
great.
whole lot of information for you there.
So I guess it's your turn.
Sure. We had our viewpoint launch for the public for the building department. So we have our online permitting software. Residents can go to the building department's website and apply for a building permit there. We still do have the paper copies in the office themselves. But to train people on how to use the system, we have a kiosk set up in the annex as well. So one of our staff members can actually sit you down at a computer and teach you how to apply for a building permit online on a computer that's set up there in the office. That way you know for the future, so it's easier for you to just do from your home. I do want to thank our town planner, Dave George. He's been working on it for the past 6 to 8 months to try to get this going. Now that the building department finished their 2-month internal training and went live to the public, he's now doing internal training with the DPW. And once we get our other permits going, it'll roll through the departments that way. We received word from CMRPC and DOEI, Department of Environmental, something that begins with an R. It's slipping off the top of my head now. But resources. Thank you very much, Dick. CMRPC was awarded a grant to do our application for Green Communities Phase 2. Now that we've got our just under $130,000 for Green Communities 1 to do the upgrades that are happening throughout the course of the fiscal year, we can apply for a separate grant from there to just see what we get. Part of the Green Communities grant that we have for Phase 1 is Joe is working with National Grid to find locations around the town for electric vehicle charging stations. National Grid is covering the full cost of all of those. So we get 3 given to us by National Grid. So Joe is trying to figure out just where to put them. Thinking of, while a lot of people in town may not have electric vehicles now, if it were to be a boom later, or if the town were to have one as a town vehicle at some point, where would we need it? What would we use it for? And things of that nature. So that's what Joe's working on, figuring out with Laura and National Grid currently.
Are those going to be free to the public, or are they going to be a per charge?
It's like a gas station. It's a per charge. You plug in and it charges you for the amount of voltage you put into your car.
Okay.
The Traffic Commission, which consists of myself, Nick, Seth, and Joe, it's the same group that was meeting to talk about the accident sites that we talked about, is having ongoing meetings with Central Tree and Naquag just to see how we can work to alleviate some of the traffic flow and make that a little easier over there. When I say Traffic Commission, I just needed a name to call it that sounded kind of cool. So there's no official commission there, but it's a working group of department heads that's just working to accomplish something there.
If you show up with sweaters, we're going to be a little upset.
You put it in his head.
I know, right?
My own fault, yeah.
Speaking of Joe, on Wednesday, Joe and I will be traveling to Boston in the afternoon to go to the MVP summit that's being held by Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and Secretary Katie Theo-Hardy's, regarding just MVP grants, the process that they go through and things of that nature that they're releasing to the state. And then when we come back, we'll sure to have some more info for how the town can proceed with that. Just a reminder, the overdose remembrance and awareness vigil that I talked about at the last meeting is this Thursday up in Gardner at Monument Park. We did post about it on the town's Facebook page. If anyone's looking for information, they can find it there as well. I spoke at the last meeting saying that I would let the board know who we chose for the working group of department heads who will be sitting with me to just hash out what we'll eventually put in the RFI. And while it'll be a formal agenda item for more, it'll be myself, the two chiefs, Director Buckley, and then the town planner, Dave George. It's just who most communities had involved in their process, so we figured if it worked for them, it'll work for us.
Great.
And good luck to everyone on the first day of school tomorrow. I've already said we're working on looking at traffic stuff. Joe has asked that I just put a reminder for particularly for those who live out on dirt roads, where it's a little narrower. Just if you see a school bus coming, the school bus is probably a lot bigger than your car, so just try to figure out a way that both can go around each other safely. But just to keep that in the back of your head, we've had no issues with that. It's just a safety reminder that we like to give. But good luck to all of our teachers and students. That's all that I have for this evening.
I'm going to move on then, I guess, to old business, town signs. And the proposal is 045.
Yes. I spoke with Fran Steiner about the average cost of the signs, what's normally done with them. With the welcome signs, the breakdown, the signs are going to cost around $1,825. We put in a little buffer for installation or anything like that, so that's why I have that rounded to $1,900. We didn't want to do more than 3 sponsorship levels, otherwise it just gets cluttered in the sign and you can't read as much there. So if someone donates an amount that's smaller, you'll see under the electric signs, donation is just anyone who donates will have their name displayed for a thank you to so-and-so who donated. If you'd like to donate and it's not one of those particular amounts, that'll be where your thank you is given is on the electric sign included with that. But the big sponsorship levels that I'm proposing for the welcome signs to get your name on the banner is full sign. If you pay for the full sign, the $1,900, you get your name by itself on the sponsorship panel for a period of 5 years. $1,950, you split it with someone else. $950, you split it with someone else. That's just because it's $1,900 divided by 2. And then the $700, you get your name in the third on the panel for a period of 2 years.
Can we clear up, to the chair, are these donations tax deductible?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, they are. If, and I've spoken with friends about this, we're still trying to figure out the exact location of the sign. We have a ride around scheduled for later this week, but we'd like to get the ball rolling on this. I'll even be willing to throw out a challenge to the residents that if we get 2 signs paid for by Thanksgiving, I'll put in a full sign myself. But just so that they get out there. I'd like to see these out in the community, and I think they'd look nice and help sell our town to some people.
If you and Fran come up with really definitive locations, oh wow, this was really the best. Do you want to put up just a stake with a flag on it so
Yeah.
we can all kind of see where you're thinking?
Yep.
The signboard price is shocking.
The sign, the electronic one?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be closer to 25, but it's the close between 20 and 25. I'm guessing that was the manufacturer saying, "How tricked out do you want it?" In all honesty, we can reduce that, and it's basically once we hit the cost of the sign that we're going to buy.
Okay.
We hit it. We don't need to hit the full 35. That's if we were to go all out. There was everything that could go wrong went wrong when we tried to put the foundation in and stuff like that. 35 would be the most. It's probably going to be closer to 20,
Okay.
22 maybe.
We heard the Leicester High School sign was 14, right?
Yeah.
That was the number that came in. So, oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely closer to 2022, 25.
Okay.
It's all the contingency stuff in there.
All right. All
And
right.
again, for that one, anyone who donates any amount, we'll put a thank you on the sign as almost like an ad in between announcements for the town, if that makes sense.
If I may, how can donations be made? Is there a spot through the website? Is it through your office?
It's through my office. Send them to my office, and we'll get that taken care of through the treasurers, just as a deposit into the gift account that the board created. Good question. I should have said that.
Okay,
All right.
next, 055, under new business, fall special town meeting.
Dan is in the process of closing the books. We schedule a fall town meeting around when we get our free cash certified, because that's 99% of what's on the warrant for the fall town meeting. I spoke with Dr. Capucci at Glenwood School. She said the available Saturday in November is November 16th, which falls around the same time we've been having these meetings traditionally for the past couple of years, from what Laura and I have been able to look at, or research, I guess. Nothing's set until the board has a vote.
That's a Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. The specials are not typically on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Laura and I were under the impression they were.
Yep.
We can do it certainly on not a Saturday, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's many other days that are available too.
Yeah.
But we're looking at finding a date for that once we get things more clear, when we get our free cash, when we do stuff. But I just wanted to give you an update as early as possible that we're looking into it. It's probably going to be sometime in November, just because of the unique situation that we have with our free cash this year, considering we have all of the water and sewer funds falling to free cash. So all of those need to be closed and certified by the DOR. So I'm going to guess sometime mid-November.
So we've typically, I'm not saying we have to,
Yeah.
but you pay, the town has not historically, but you would pay extra on a Saturday to
For a
have
janitor.
staff brought in.
Yeah.
That's partly it. And obviously the annual town meeting is set according to bylaw. We've done it historically on Thursdays.
Oh,
A couple times we did a Monday, I
It was
think.
Monday this past.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth, but it's been a weekday for the special. So we could do
Oh,
an off
okay.
Monday. We lose the 11th, obviously, because of Veterans Day.
mhm.
And Thanksgiving is late, 28th.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would think you're looking at 14th is the Thursday, 18th is the Monday. I don't know if that's off or on for us. I doubt we would want to do it the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's when we did it last year. That was the Monday before
It
Thanksgiving.
might have been, yeah. But it might have been less about
I think it was just
Yeah.
time-wise
was
because we had
just
to get
when-
it, yeah.
when
Yeah.
things were going to be ready.
So I'll follow up with Dr. Capucci again, see what weekdays are available then. But
Okay.
I'm good, just because of our unique situation, it's late October to mid-November.
Yeah. Okay. Bylaw committee.
I
056.
received an email from the chair, right, of the ad hoc bylaw subcommittee, pointing out, you'll remember right before annual town meeting, we voted to amend the charge of the bylaw committee up until approval by the Attorney General's office. The bylaw committee met and realized that the Attorney General's office is set to approve all of the town bylaws that were passed by September 8th. But then the board also then has to advertise and sit the actual committee that's approved. So they'd just like to continue to move forward when right now their charge has them dissolving at the approval of the Attorney General's office. You'll see there was a last minute edit that was put in this. It's looking to take out the part where it says pending on a vote of the town meeting, because the town meeting already voted to pass Article 24. And it took out the part that says following approval of the Attorney General's office, and just put in upon seating of the select board, because the select board can't seat the bylaw committee until it's approved by the Attorney General's office. So it's just taking those out.
I don't mind either way, Peter. I don't think it's changing what everyone meant. I have to say, I was reading it as a step process. So if we had left it alone, ad hoc committee will dissolve upon the seating of the permanent bylaw committee by the select board following the approval of the Attorney General's office. As in, we were waiting for the approval, then we were going to do the seating, and then it would dissolve. I read it that way. If you did not, I'm fine with clarifying it.
No, it's just I felt the words were unnecessary just because of the natural process of it, and I believe in being more terse when possible.
What? No.
Hard to believe.
I'm just kidding.
In writing. In writing.
What's that word mean?
Brief.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? So I'm sorry, can you clarify this? We have the proposed
Sure.
amendment on the top,
Yep.
and the, with track changes,
That's just so you can see what was changed in the proposed amendment.
it's exactly the same.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
You can just see what was there and taken out, and the new part is in italics.
Yeah. Okay. Could I get a motion to change the charge?
I will make a motion to change the charge of the ad hoc bylaw subcommittee, subcommittee.
Committee.
Oh, committee. It
Yep.
says
The
subcommittee
bylaw
here.
review committee.
Ad hoc bylaw committee.
That's true, the title does say.
Sorry. To amend their charge to be dissolved upon the seating of a permanent bylaw committee by the select board, period. Is that-
As presented in the
As presented in the proposed
document.
document.
Thanks.
Second.
Could
That was all, correct?
I ask for a friendly amendment? It should say the ad hoc committee, not this ad hoc committee. It's not referencing the ad hoc committee up until that sentence.
Oh,
Would you
okay.
agree? No?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I don't know.
The
makes
charge
sense.
is to the committee, the bylaw review committee, and then there's a sentence that says this ad hoc committee will dissolve, and it should say the ad hoc committee will dissolve. Okay. Do you, friendly amendment?
Yes,
Thank
friendly
you.
amendment.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Hey,
Congratulations, Peter.
Thank you. Well, good.
Things clarified. Next, we have a street sign request.
Uh,
Requested, what?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say requested by the chief of police.
Yeah.
Welcome, chief.
Joe said he's still looking on it and reviewing it before he signs off, but I'm sure Nick can tell us about it.
That's right, DPW, it's blank. I don't know.
Yeah, I spoke about that with Joe today. We should probably have it ready for the next meeting then. But basically, I mean, if you need to wait for his signature. But basically, the speed limit on Wachusett Street is already 40 miles an hour. It's set by Chapter 9017, basic speed law. It's non-thickly settled, non-divided. It's 40 from one end to the other. It's just never been posted. So we were just looking to post the already set speed limit.
If I may, I think that's huge. I know I travel that road quite often and have had conversations with different police officers about what the speed limit should be on there, and it's always been a little bit murky throughout history. So I think having it posted, especially if it's more out-of-towners and everything traveling through, is not a bad thing.
So these signs will be put after you've crossed 68 and you're heading. Does that make sense?
So there'd be one at Glenwood, one at Wachusett and 68 on both sides, and then one at the Princeton Town Line.
One at Glenwood.
So as you turn onto Wachusett from Glenwood.
68 from
Nope.
No,
Glenwood from-
Yep. So both ends of both sides.
And what about, sorry if I may, what about people that cut through Wheeler to cut from Wheeler off of Glenwood to Wheeler down to Wachusett? Will there be one in that area, or would you look at it? I don't know. I know there's a number
Yeah,
of.
no, people do cut through there, so yeah, we should put extra one.
I don't know.
Any questions? I know Joe likes to take a very methodical process with everything. I think a lot of people in this room have been living with watching these accidents happen at that intersection for a long time. Seems like you've got to start somewhere. Anybody? Okay.
Yeah, regardless of accidents at that intersection, I've been looking for a posted speed limit
Okay.
on that road for years.
Okay. So however people would like to phrase this, we could hold off and wait for Joe's review, which we don't have yet, or we could approve pending and anticipated DPW approval.
Just approve it.
Great.
Yeah, I say approve it pending Joe's review, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sooner the better.
I'll make a motion to approve the, posted speed limit signage on Wachusett Street, from Glenwood Road all the way to the Princeton Town Line, pending the, approval of the DPW Superintendent, Joe Buckley.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. Start.
Nick, I should have said this earlier in my update, but you got how many of those crosswalk signs that are going up?
I got 2 more.
Of the pedestrian crossing signs?
Reboundable pedestrian
Oh.
crossing signs
Yeah,
for
that will
the street.
be putting out the first day of school tomorrow.
They'll be out tomorrow?
No, I
No.
ordered them,
Tomorrow.
Ordered
they're
them.
not here yet,
Okay.
but as soon as they come in, Joe will have the guys put them in.
So, big presents tomorrow morning?
Big presents, yeah,
Okay,
extra people on all week,
thank you.
be following school buses in the school zones.
Great,
People will know it's the first day of school.
great. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
They have the signs, the blinking signs for the speed limit, they have those coordinated with the times.
Oh, I believe they're all set, yes. Joe takes care of that.
The one in front of Naquag is new.
Mhm.
It should be good.
Yeah, that one's good.
Okay. All right, onward. Growth bylaw?
Yeah. Through the chair, I had this put on because I was hoping we could have a conversation tonight about the growth bylaw. As you may be aware, it has come to light that the town was brought to court over the growth bylaw, in particular whether certain approved subdivision plans would be exempt because of permits being issued within the last 8 years. That was ruled that they were exempt.
So
And we
just-
can talk about it open. I
Okay.
cleared
Yeah.
that first.
Okay,
Everything's been
Yeah.
settled and
okay,
everything's final.
okay.
Yeah.
So my concern is we now have about 200 properties that are in pre-approved subdivisions that are not being regulated by this growth bylaw. And the bylaw seemingly now having been passed with the intent of slowing growth in some of these subdivisions, which our CMRPC study shows there's like 14 kids living in each house and everything like that. It costs a lot of money to send the kids to school. The subdivision houses can now be built quicker than other houses in the community because they're not subject to the growth bylaw. And it seems to me that now this growth bylaw, which we are spending thousands upon thousands of taxpayer dollars to defend in court, is a zombie bylaw with no intended purpose. If the majority of homes in the town, with the majority of builders in the town, are able to build exempt from this, I'm just curious as to what our plan is moving forward with it, and if we're concerned at all about incurring additional legal fees for something that really has no useful impact in the community.
I can clarify some of the background with that if you'd like as well. The lawsuit was Bryce Estates v. Town of Rutland, had a 3-part complaint to it. 2 we can talk about in open session. 1 is still ongoing, so we can't talk about that one. The first part sought an injunction against the town from enforcing the bylaw. The judge dismissed that charge. The second one was whether or not Bryce Estates was grandfathered per the bylaw. Originally, the town was under the position that it was not grandfathered due to the fact that it had originally been proposed to the town in 2004. The special permit issued by the planning board has a zoning freeze of 8 years, and where it had been 8 years since 2004, we had been under the impression, both our legal counsel, our town planner, and our support staff, that the zoning freeze had expired since the 8 years had passed. Even though it had been amended, it was still the same subdivision. Where the grandfathering came out that it was still grandfathered was that in 2014, one up for amendment again The motion in the planning board records stated the wording to issue a new special permit to the subdivision rather than an amended special permit to the subdivision, thus restarting the 8-year clock that had started in 2004 back to 0 in 2014. So the subdivision freeze for the zoning is from 2014 to 2022, rather than 2004 to 2012
For that subdivision.
for that subdivision.
Yep. Okay.
That they're in the middle of phase 2. There's 18 homes in phase 2. They had already pulled their requisite 6 permits as if the bylaw was being
Mhm.
enforced on them then. So there's 12 more they can do on phase 2, and then they have to go before the planning board again. But there's like 112-ish homes in Bryce Estates.
But those homes will all be exempt based on what occurred
Because
from the
yes,
bylaw.
yes, because the special permit, a new special permit was granted by the planning board in 2014.
Outside of Bryce, there are other subdivisions that had already gone through the process that will also be exempt, correct?
Yeah, so long as their special permit was granted within the past 8 years.
Mhm.
Okay.
That falls under the portion of the bylaw that states if there was anything that was currently compliant with the law, the bylaw would not make them uncompliant. It's the last page of the proposed bylaw.
So that leaves us about 200 homes that now fall outside of the purview of the growth management bylaw and are exempt. So again, I know the growth bylaw has a 5-year sunset clause, and now that we had the town vote on it, well, I remind you, without planning board or FinCom approval or adequate time to study it, we're now in a position where unless the town votes this out, we have to pay to legally defend this for the next 5 years, even though all of these homes are exempt. So I'm curious as to if we, as a board, should take this to town meeting and have this pulled and start a constructive process where we can take the proper time to come up with a strategy moving forward on how to adequately manage growth, if that's something the community wants, in a way that's effective.
I would just have to, if I may, through the chair, I would just have to check zoning bylaws, some, which, and I believe this falls under it, have a 2-year incubation period before you can then re-vote on the same bylaw. You can amend it, but I don't think you can withdraw it for a period of 2 years. I'd have to check. It's some zoning bylaws, not all.
I guess I sit here and I'm not understanding what we're really all surprised about at this point. And
What do
obviously,
you
we
mean?
still have some things that we're waiting for, namely the AG's office.
That has nothing to do with the exemptions, though.
So where I'm headed is, we always assumed, I would think, most people assumed that there would be some properties that were going to be grandfathered. And the assumption was that 36, in addition to any exemptions and/or any special permits, I believe planning board has recently given a special permit, correct? Was gonna take us up closer to where we've been in the past few years anyway, which is gonna be right around that low 550s, I think. For us, I don't wanna say for us, for me, one of the goals most certainly was to ensure that we try to avoid that huge building boom that we saw, particularly in '07, right before the recession, where we saw 133 permits pulled.
Right.
Now, to your point about how many are still open at Bryce Lemon, at that point, to what Mike just said, there's that additional 12, so that's upping our number from the 36. It's probably worth us doing a total.
No, but they
And
can
then-
build those as quickly as they want, so it's not 12.
But nobody
It's over 100.
anticipated those 200 either.
No, I
So,
yeah.
how many other subdivisions are in that same category as Bryce Lemon?
Dave is currently trying to get that
So there may be
exact
others.
number. It's probably 200 lots total.
Dick, do you know the exact number? It might be Noble Hill. I feel like there might be one more that was incubating.
Was Maple Hill, but that was
Okay.
only 6 lots.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, the others.
Only, but
Yeah.
they keep piling up.
Well, and with Bryce Lemon, the understanding is they have to complete one phase, right, before they can start on the
Yeah,
other.
that's
That was
correct.
another sort of calendar type control where you were gonna finish one, go back to the planning board, and after their review of the process, make sure everything was in place that you had requested relative
Right,
to.
and at the
So
moment,
who's-
He's on hold because he has things that he has not completed in phase 1.
Yeah.
Who falls under the purview of this bylaw then? Because the intent of the bylaw, and then the entire community was told that the intent was to curb the subdivision building. And now you have a situation where the subdivision building can go as quick as they want, and the rest of the community, or smaller builders, or single families that want to pull permits, can't. Right. And I'm a little unclear as to the purpose of spending money on court in this, when realistically that arbitrary number in the permit bylaw means nothing, because they can build as quickly in these subdivisions as they want.
Okay, you're just hearing that they actually can't. And then I think the other
No,
thing
they
we
can.
need
So
to
long as they do the
discuss-
work that they have to do, they can build
Yep.
as quickly as they
They
want.
can move on to the next section.
Correct.
Then the other thing that needs to happen is, in the building department, they'll have to be keeping track of the
Yeah.
permits that are coming in under the cap and the permits that are exempt from it, and we'll have totals based on that. And in fact, we're probably up to 3 columns, right? Because we've got cap permits, exempt, special, I think at this point, right? Are those the 3 categories right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To
So-
see where our totals end up with.
If you look at what's available in town, it's everything's in the subdivision. So I'm just curious as to what impact we thought this growth bylaw was going to have versus what it actually is having, and it's costing the taxpayers money, and it's not slowing down any of the growth in these subdivisions. I can't, to me, when this was passed through, everyone was told that this would be retroactive in its enforcement, right? So everyone was under the impression when they voted on this that it would slow down a certain type of growth. That was even mentioned in the CMRPC growth study, that they only looked at their windshield survey, they were only looking at 3 separate streets, and they were all in Blair subdivisions. And the growth bylaw was specifically targeted at stopping Blair from building in town because he is the largest builder. And that's something you had also referenced on several occasions, stopping Blair from building in town specifically. So I just don't understand what we're doing if we have to defend this in court and we have to spend money on it, and it's not having the intended impact. I think we're doing a disservice to our constituents by moving this thing forward. It's a zombie growth bylaw that it's not having its intended purpose in being implemented.
It may have had its intended purpose if it weren't for these lots that are now approved that weren't. It may have. But this throws a wrench in the whole thing. So, you're right. It should be looked at again, if nothing else. I don't know about repealing it, but stepping back and looking at it fairly quickly, actually. But yeah, nobody anticipated this.
Well, I mean, that's also bothersome because nobody anticipated this, but we had both Planning Board and FinCom not recommend this because they wanted more time to look at it. I feel like if we had just taken our time and done things right as a community, we wouldn't be in this situation, and this is something that would have been anticipated and wouldn't have been discussed. This isn't brain surgery. This is a bylaw, and we're talking about permits and special permits. I just think that this is something we could have talked about and discussed amongst the boards in the community when they were supposed to have taken a look at it. So now it's just, where do we go from here? Because again, we're in court all the time with this thing. We're spending thousands of dollars. This is taxpayer money. You've talked yourself about, we've been looking in situations in the past where we're looking at closing down the senior center or closing down the library, and we're just throwing money at something that isn't serving any intended purpose.
So I'm feeling like some of this is a little bit premature. You've brought up spending thousands of dollars multiple times.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, where we can go with this tonight. We are just about 90 to 100 days into this since town meeting. We don't have the AG's
The
ruling
AG's
yet.
ruling has nothing to do with the 200 parcels that are already exempt from the bylaw.
As a hypothetical, if the bylaw as
No, we
voted
deal
on.
with too many
Yeah,
hypotheticals.
Excuse
That's
me, may
why
I
we're in the
finish?
situation that we're in right now.
So are you going to let me finish the sentence? If the AG's office comes back on September 8th with the bylaw as presented and does not accept it, right?
Okay.
So this is a little bit premature. We're going to have a better view of where we're headed when the AG's office comes back with their ruling on what got passed. We then are going to need to take a look, to that point about Bryce Lemon, which, and I'm going to respectfully disagree that the process, which had been going on for a very long time, It's too bad, you know, and I think Bryce Lemon's been complicated right from the get-go. Lots of stuff going on, lots of legal fees with Bryce Lemon far before this came up, some of which are personal money, some of which are town monies. I think, you know, it's probably something that we should have Dave take a look at relative to whether or not the developer in question, specific to Bryce Lemon, you know, if that's the linchpin that's going to sort of really change the way this bylaw ends up being activated in town over 5 years, whether the developer plans to do a max build out every single year and try to get 50 or 60 houses up. If it's 50, then the 200 lots that are there, that'll happen in 4 years. That'll be that max build out. It'll be certainly what I would guess. You know, some of the proponents of the bylaw were looking to avoid that fast in terms of development. But to that point, and without going back into the history, and I'm looking at Dick, I apologize, I can't remember back in 14 what would have precipitated a brand new permit. I don't remember. I'd have to go back. That's a big, giant file, Bryce Lemon, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
30 houses out of one hill and put it in another hill so they didn't have to build a bridge.
Oh, the bridge, okay.
Right.
Yeah, they kept it away from the pond.
Yeah,
They kept the building out. They cut out some houses.
yeah.
And I think, did they reroute that major drive? I think they did.
Yes.
That wasn't all in 14, though. I mean, this is a big, complex project. It
No,
always
I-
has
I
been.
think that's when
It's
the
a complex-
approval was done
It was
for the
done, yeah.
amendment.
For the amendment, but it didn't turn into an amendment. It turned into a whole new.
Right.
And that part, I don't remember what would have precipitated that. Forget it. Let's throw it out. You know, start from scratch. Go from.
It
Yeah.
was-
I understand Bryce is a complex project, but that really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about. In that, again, if this goes to the AG's office and the AG kicks it back and says this isn't what we want, then again, we would have spent thousands of dollars for nothing. And I don't understand where we're going with this and what we're looking to accomplish. I mean, I really think, once again, and you, Dick, you have a lot of history on the project. I think if the planning board were perhaps given adequate time to look at some of these issues, we would be in a better spot than we are right now. And I know that you feel like the process was not rushed, but the other boards in town that were given the opportunity to recommend did not recommend this because they felt specifically that they didn't have enough time. You saw on the floor of the town meeting, the planning board asked for this to be sent back to planning board so they would have time to look at it. Now we're in a position where this is town money that we're dealing with, and you're talking about 4 years. Okay, so if max build out in Bryce is 4 years and the bylaw sunsets in 5, what do you think our study is going to show at the end of that 5-year period? If 4 years of those are being dominated by growth, it doesn't make sense as something to continue with and not at least have a discussion about. I mean, this is something that the community voted in favor of 2/3 at town meeting. And we're doing them a disservice by not adequately addressing the question.
I will say that the next meeting of the select board is on September 9th.
Okay.
So I'm assuming we'll get the official word either on Friday or the day of
Yep.
the meeting, since September 8th is a Sunday, and that's the deadline for them to get back to us.
So if we continue this new business article to that meeting, I'm just thinking about action items for that. You know, let's assume we will have the AG ruling. If the AG ruling is it's no good for whatever reason, right, doesn't meet legal review, then this conversation is over. If the AG ruling is that a portion or the entirety of the bylaw is acceptable and is moving forward, then we're going to have to come up with, you know, whether it's an evaluative process or, to Mitch's point, who wants to take something, you know, more drastic in terms of action.
That wasn't really my point. My point is that we've been inept in pushing this forward through this entire process. And the conversation is not going to end if the AG kicks it back, because it seems like cyclically we keep revisiting this issue. And if the AG kicks it back and we've been paying consultants and working with people to come up with the language in this based on best practice, it would be very disappointing to have spent that much taxpayer dollars for something that is totally inadequate because we wouldn't take the time as a community to have the appropriate boards and commissions look at it before pushing it forward.
So the growth study that was commissioned had a laundry list of items. Again, if September 8th comes and the AG's office throws out the bylaw in its entirety, my guess is that the bylaw subcommittee, planning board, et cetera, is going to look at some of the other things that were on that list. There was that up-down zoning. There were a couple other options. I don't I can't speak to what's going to happen next, other than we do need to wait until September 8th to know how to move forward.
So we're just gonna throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
We need
gonna
a
go through a
ruling from
laundry
the
list.
AG's office.
No, the ruling from the AG's office doesn't change the situation, Sheila. It really doesn't.
If the growth management bylaw is not enacted, how does that not change everything you're talking about?
Because this is still an issue that the town voted on, one. Two, we still spend a lot of money defending this in court for something that could get thrown out, two. And all of our suggested actions moving forward from the growth bylaw subcommittee and from CMRPC, I mean, if this is the same process we used to put this together, then that's gonna fail as well. So, I mean, we need to have a discussion as to how we wanna move forward with this, because this isn't working right now, and I think that what happened in court this week, or last week rather, demonstrates that fully.
It may be an issue where you have to start all over from square one.
Well, it's possible that nobody will have an appetite to do that. They didn't the last time it failed. So, yeah. Again, I
That
still
may be
don't
the
see
case.
I still don't see action tonight until we figure out whether or not it's even something that needs to be defended. If it's simply not enacted, then anything we've been talking about since May, right, is off the table. There is no growth management bylaw in the town of Rutland, and we're going to know very quickly. But to the point of action items, again, if it passes in whole or entirety, if people have suggestions, certainly we're open hearing them.
Well, I mean, if it passes though, we still need to have a conversation as to what
Right.
we need to do.
We need to have that conversation then.
Yeah, I'm not sure the value in talking about hypotheticals at this point, since we just don't know. Do you, yes,
Well, I was just gonna say, it certainly doesn't make sense to me to have a serious discussion until you know exactly how many lots are exempt from the bylaw. Around 200 is a nice number, but is it 150 or is it 250?
mm-hmm.
And that might color the discussions that you have. I think I agree with the statement that there are not enough facts yet, and I'm not sure what other homework there would be besides waiting for the AG and understanding the limits of the exemptions. I don't know what else could be done, quite frankly, between now and 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think we could proactively prepare something, and you've got a lot of sort of if this then this sort of situations, right? So we could almost prepare some sort of multi-level timeline where, well, if we were going to go to town meeting, is that even possible? What's the timeline? And if there's a timeline, what's the deadline? And then you go from there for that. What do you do in the meantime? If you have to do something in the meantime, how are you tracking it? Is there only one developer affected that's going to be pulled out of the 36 permits, or is it multiples? So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a...
But even then, it wouldn't be just one builder, it would be these specific subdivisions.
Yep.
And also, actually, the third one is what Mike already committed to do, which is to what did you commit to do? I've already forgotten.
Check the incubation period.
Yes, that's it, the incubation period.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just until that time, we still have to spend money on it. And
But
we
that's
should
not
have done
gonna
this.
change over the next 2 weeks.
Right, but we should have done this 6 months ago.
Agreed, but that won't change over the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Anything else? Is there any correspondence tonight? No?
Nope.
Okay. Is there any other business to come before the board? No. Thank you all for coming. Nothing? Okay. So we're about to head into executive session. We will not return other than for the purpose of adjournment. Could I have a motion?
Do you want both reasons read?
Both reasons read, please.
Make a motion to move to executive session for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's bargaining or litigating position. Also, to conduct strategy sessions in preparations for negotiations with non-union personnel, to actually conduct collective bargaining and contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And for reason number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, taking, lease, or value of real property if such discussion may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the government body, only to return for adjournment.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Whitman, aye.
Walker, aye.
Or City Eye.
Dubai. And we are in executive. Thank you.